Lonely Attack on the Different World, web novel, chapter 7. Half of the story was made of grudge and resentment, no kindness included, it seems. Day 7. The soundproofing of my house is perfect. It's a cave, after all. But, for safety, I keep Detect Presence and Search on during sleep. And how is it? With Detect Presence, I sense a noisy presence in the forest, and it's so annoying that I cannot sleep. I get outside, intending to tell them to stay away, but it's still nighttime. Is this a biker gang? Are they out in the middle of the night, on a ride to disturb the neighborhood? Using clairvoyance, I find those responsible for my disturbance and lack of sleep. Geeks and goblins, the creatures I'm familiar with. Ah, and here is why it's so noisy in the middle of the night. So it's the geeks. Damn, the high school kids these days playing with goblins and causing an uproar at night. What? Are they trying to become delinquents? They deserve a firm scolding. Fall back for now. I will hold them. Do you have enough MP yet? No, what about you? Still no good? Ah, what a noisy bunch. For real. The 4 geeks are my classmates and not bad guys. Rather, they are the ones that were bullied. I'd like to yell at them that they are annoying, but them being in this world also means that they receive skills as well. Of course, unlike mine, they are likely to be cheats. They are experts at this after all. I remember there being a book called something like Bullied Kid Goes to Another World and with personality changed from cheats, plots revenge. Well, it's not like I bullied them. And come to think of it, they were the ones that recommended the book to me. Yeah, since this is interesting, I guess I should help them. Activating appraisal as I approach, the remaining goblins are 5, with levels ranging to 13 to 15. Do they even need my help? The geeks are level 16, and on top of that, they have jobs of Guardian, Shinobi, Saint, and Mage. How cool. Why am I the only one without a job? I see, so the Guardian uses a tower shield and spear to stall the goblins. The Shinobi performs hit-and-run attacks, and behind them are the Mage backed up by the Saint. This is what they are likely going for, but the Guardian can't take on all the enemies at once, and as their numbers are too great. The movements of the Shinobi that's supposed to act as support are dull, probably due to some kind of injury, and then there are no magic attacks or healing from the rear. Apparently, they are out of MP. They are using a spear and hammer to attack physically. Even so, with stats from level 16, it should be an easy victory for them. Even I can fight these gobs at my level 3. Are they exhausted? One of them is also quite busy being fat. Okay, I have enough for one shot. Gather the goblins. Roger. Ice Lance! Oh, they finally killed 3 enemies. Watching others fight actually makes me more nervous than fighting myself. Okay, just 2 more. Surround them. Yeah. What should I do? What sort of action calls this situation? I thought this was going to be okay, but isn't this bad? For real? They're out of MP again, and the Guardian is all tattered, and behind them 2 more goblins are coming. Without noticing anything, they are getting a merciless surprise attack from behind from 2 goblins. A great panic. I'd say they're panicking even more than usual. Good grief, you are all level 16, right? You have a mage, a saint, a guardian, and a shinobi, right? Why does a level 3 here have to save your asses? If your level is above 10, shouldn't you be able to completely overwhelm the goblins alone, even if they are in a group? Can't be helped. Wooden stick attack. Calm down, you lot. Using the momentum from the dash, bam, 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 and done. For starters, the 2 goblins bludgeoned to death. What? Why? Haruka-kun? Good job. Except for one person, they still seem to be panicking, or rather, one of them is pretty composed, still under question though. Well, can't be helped, it's not like we're strangers. Even if they died or got seriously injured right in front of my eyes, it would feel pretty bad later. Well, though they are my acquaintances, it was limited to them suddenly approaching me during my reading time and handing me their recommended light novels, or beginning to talk about reading suggestions, and all that other promotion stuff. The geeks were making some geeky noises behind me, but I already dealt with the 2 goblins with the wooden stick attack, also known as beating to death by aiming for the back of the head with a full swing from behind. Only 2 remain. Saying stuff like, "Gwah." The goblins turned my way. I don't really get what they're saying. They're saying, "Gwah." At such a time and place, it's probably not a morning greeting. Gob language seems too difficult for me. I suppose I can't count on the geeks' help, but I still don't want to reveal my skills too much. And while I was wondering what I should do about all this, one of the goblins charged at me with his club raised overhead. Actually, Goblin-san, are you going for that pattern again? As always, I effortlessly take it down with a swing of the wooden stick, also known as crushing Goblin's cranium while sweeping the incoming club sideways. Good. Kids, don't try this at home. Hey, Geek Squad, are you alive? I ask, but no response. Alive and kicking? Once again, with the exception of only one of them, they all failed to reboot. However, one of them is pretty amazing. How come he is so calm? Don't tell me it's a skill from another world. There's a lot I'd like to ask, but for now, thank you for saving us. That was a great help. Many thanks. Looks like they finally managed to reload. It somehow feels like I didn't talk with other people in a very long time, but it's probably just my imagination. Even in the original world, I often had days where I didn't talk with anyone. For a whole day? Yep. Now, what should I do? Though I saved them, what now? Should I put them where I found them? Aren't you too cautious of us? Caution? What? Monsters? Death game? Oh, one of them is very perceptive. Well, he is the one that lent me the books. Sorry, well, it's another world after all. Though I might have offended them by that, but I can't get dumb enough to have no caution. After all, there was plenty of dangerous stuff among the skills. Rather, it's even strange that such harmless skills like health or walking were even among them. Well, as a bonus, I also received some harmful skills, to myself only, though. Among the skills that, taken by someone, had turned gray, was something called puppetry. It's an undoubtedly dangerous skill. I wonder if they would be willing to trade it for Muppet. After exchanging glances, the geeks began putting their swords, shields, and even their luggage onto the ground. Disarmament? How nice. All I have is a stick. No. No, you don't have to go that far. You're being far too careless in a forest. Saying that, I make them pick up their stuff. Is this okay? It seems to be. I guess it is. Do thou see fit? Whoa, we have a lord here. I wonder what kind of job a lord would have. While they put their equipment back, I asked them a few questions. What about the others? Exploring at night all by yourself? The four of them frowned and replied the following. We left them. Or rather, we parted with them. Or, actually, we had a falling out and we ran away and are on the run. Though they were bullied at school, don't tell me it's the same even in another world. I took 4 trashed geeks to the cavern, and since they were way too tattered, I splashed them with pseudo-potion I made by boiling mushrooms and medicinal herbs. A clinical trial. It reeks of mushrooms. Whoa, is this a fancy cave? All of this alone? We were stuck in a tent for a week. Are you from the countryside? Leave me alone. Asking a loner if he did it alone is taboo. And also, don't say the countryside. It's remote place or unexplored region, right? A permanent residence in a cave? To tell the truth, the cave became quite tidy. Since it was rough and uneven, I worked on it and used packing magic to wrap the floors and walls. During that time, I got Earth Magic level 1, and getting carried away, even applied some structural alterations. By now, it has a space of around 55 square meters. I thought I'd get level 2 of Earth Magic from that, but I got level 2 of Hikikomori and Loner. Really? A modern storehouse. All this space for yourself? And we 4 guys had to share a small tent. Studio? Design interior? Unfair. Since they were annoying, to shut them up, I brought out the berry juice of suspicious color that I had in reserve. So good. So these were the sweet berries. They seemed to be very happy. Just what were they doing the whole week that they spent in the forest? I tried to ask. Oh, heavy stuff. How should I put it? Are they idiots? That's what their story makes me think. I don't mean them, but the lot that they left behind. The story was long. Half of it was resentment and bitterness. No kindness involved, it seems. Aside from me, everyone was teleported to the forest at almost the same time. Those that were in the classroom and those that were outside, 42 people, came to this world. That's a lot. I can't even remember all their names, even though they were my classmates. Though everyone received an explanation from the god, it seemed that it still turned into chaos. Well, that's only natural. It seemed that the bullies, the wannabe delinquents, and the egotistic gyaru bitches were especially annoying. The wannabe delinquents were swinging swords around and randomly casting offensive magic, causing great havoc, and when asked to stop, they would reply by attacking. And as for the ego bitches, they would say they don't know anything and won't do a thing. You people do something, they screeched. Girls from the normal group burst into tears. Athletic guys gathered and began a discussion among themselves, ignoring everyone around. Ordinary boys blended with the air. The conscience of our class, the class president, tried to get everyone in order, but apparently it was complete pandemonium, all inside the forest. By the way, during the time everyone forgot about the geeks, they were exchanging information on their stats, skills, and equipment, checking and testing magic. What a cheeky bunch. And making this much fuss in a forest, you're bound to attract monsters. Goblins rushed there from various paths of the forest. Even the reliable class president froze at that. Though she did her best, that probably was her limit. The girls began crying even louder. No, since monsters came, just shut up already. The bitches started bitching. You are men, so do something. How annoying. These wannabe delinquents, despite making a fuss, blasting magic, and swinging swords before, went silent as soon as they saw monsters. This is so stupid that I can't comprehend it. The ordinary boys continued blending in with the air. What? Only the president gets a charitable evaluation? That's only natural. She is kind enough to call out to something like me, and also beautiful. Who cares about the others? And in the midst of such mayhem and some strange turn of fate, it was geeks, already battle-ready for another world, who began silently repelling the goblins. Then the athletic guys finally joined the battle as well, and thus they were able to prevail. Then the president, that somehow managed to regain composure, half threatened the trash that kept making all the fuss despite this, telling them that staying here is dangerous, and moved them to the dry riverbed with a good outlook. Meanwhile, the geeks drifted away from the group on their own, collecting food, supplies, and firewood, advancing preparations to set up a camp. With half of the group doing worse than nothing and actively getting in the way, it's actually amazing that all of them managed to come out unharmed. Perhaps by the evening they got tired, or finally grew bored of making a fuss, but they split into groups and started idling. The geeks built fires here and there, put up tents that was among their items, and used the food that they had gathered, and some emergency rations, and prepared dinner for everyone. By the way, they actually did survival training on a daily basis in preparation for being summoned to another world. Are they stupid? Does this count as being stupidly smart? With this and that, the president did her best organizing the process, while the ordinary boys and girls, learning from the geeks, set up tents and finally began doing something productive. Afterward, the geeks kept acting on their own, like it was the most natural thing to do. After all, they were excluded from the group before. They just can't read the mood. The mage used earth magic and survival skills to create a fence, ditch, and pitfalls. The shinobi went out on reconnaissance, during which he set up alarm traps and assassinated goblins he found. Meanwhile, the saint used healing magic to cure wounded and the sick, and also constructed the watering hole and a simple toilet. The guardian made patrols around the perimeter while maintaining the bonfires. The goblins that came nearby were quietly exterminated. Just what is a geek? Luckily, the goblins around the camp were weaklings, only level 1 to 5, so everyone at last regained their composure and the discussion began. Distribution of duties, rotations for night watch, discussions on further actions, the matter of food supply. The president voiced her own solutions, asking the geeks for comments and advice, coaxed hesitant people, making decisions on those issues, one after another. If I ever meet her again, I'll call her the class president, Sama. But, as one would expect, a problem occurred. Naturally, the cause was the wannabe delinquents and the bitches. The first who started making noise were the bitches. It seemed that they began grumbling that someone else should set up their tent. The president interjected, saying that she will help, so they should do it together, but the bitches didn't listen. We never wanted to come to such a place. The food is crap. Remake it. Just do something. Etc., etc., etc. Fine. That's enough. Having said that, the class president cast her eyes down and went silent, thus the discussion broke down. Without coming to any conclusion, without anyone understanding anything, without knowing what they should do as well, without knowing that they shouldn't be doing, too, without sharing any means, measures, or information vital to their survival. The students that were coming to an agreement turned non-cooperatively, because why would they work if others won't? Without any rules, without even being a group anymore. A bunch of 42 people with cheat skills. The class president, who is capable of leading the group, and the geeks with the knowledge of another world and skills acting together, they surely could survive in the world full of monsters. That is quite a power. And that turned into a crowd that didn't know its power nor how to fight, and that didn't have any knowledge about monsters or the world itself and just kept pushing blame onto others. They were locked out of the safest, most reliable, and certain way to survive in this world, uniting. They were checkmated the moment the president gave up on organizing them. Of course, it wasn't the president's fault. If at least the geeks had helped her, then the outcome would be somewhat different. However, that is too much to ask. They lack the very concept of communication skills. They're geeks after all. Even so, without saying anything, they kept protecting, fighting, and sharing, though it bore no meaning to the idiots. The story is way too heavy, and also long. And so you ran away? I interrupted the geeks with their endless drama story, bitching, complaints, and bad-mouthing. And also serve a staple dish of our house, assortment of other worlds' mushrooms with mysterious vegetables on the side. Until now, it was about what happened on the first day, but the reason we ran away was what happened after that. The real trouble started after that, later. It really was the worst. No, it's not like we ran away all of a sudden. It's later. They kept going. Geeks, geeks. Don't you know our names? They're our classmates. These mushrooms are delicious. Eh? There's still more to that heavy story? No matter how you think, it doesn't look like it's going to be more optimistic after that. Your names are Geek, right? Geek A, B, C, D, right? Like goblins, Gob A, Gob B? Good grief, what are they even talking about? No, it's probably not the names. It's like, what, name of the species? Stop it! What are you going to do if Geek A really shows up in my status? Or rather, are we treated the same as monsters? So you weren't Geek A, B, and C? Even you? An unexpected betrayal by Geek D. Yeah, as expected, there is no happy end to their story. Jokes aside, Haruka-kun, so you came here as well? It wasn't a joke though, but let's leave it at that. I was summoned along with you, but I was delayed with transportation here. When I arrived, there was no one around. Thanks to that, I got the title Loner. I thought that you were the only one that managed to escape. After all, you were trying very hard to escape. That was amazing. They were watching? The room suddenly goes pitch dark. A mysterious magic circle appears on the ground and begins shining, gradually turning brighter and brighter, and when I thought it was a whiteout, I ended up in a completely white room all alone. And during all that time, you had time to watch me? Aren't you too calm? I'm really surprised. Well, I just thought, we're probably getting summoned to another world, and then dashing from the middle of the room, you kicked the door in the back, then throwing a chair at the window, after you climbed the locker and disappeared above the ceiling? Wouldn't that be surprising to just about anyone? Oh, they were totally watching. How about being surprised about the summoning itself like normal people? It was a very another world summoning like. The god was probably working hard on it, giving some attention. Well, I didn't watch it as well, though. No, until now I've seen plenty of summonings in anime and manga, but it's the first time I saw someone escaping through the attic. Yeah, to think there was such an option. Normally one would give up after trying doors and windows. Just like a ninja. No, the only shinobi here is you, job-wise. Well, talking about this and that, I had them one by one take a bath and nap. After that, we continued with the story, exchanging information and plans. The continuation of the story was the worst. It seems that the geeks ended up gathering food, doing the maintenance of the base, and fighting the monsters all by themselves. The class president and some of the students were helping, but they couldn't possibly keep up with the work of those four, and the idiots just kept complaining without doing anything. And finally, they even began demanding more food and complaining about the narrowness of their tents and abundance of free time. If you don't know what to do, then work. I'm working this hard and yet I'm a NEET. But apparently, the geeks were proactively raising their levels. Combat was one of the reasons for that. But the biggest one was the skills, puppetry and charm, that they saw in the White Room. Someone took them. To cope with it, they planned to raise their level to resist it. Take resistance skills, and finding them seal. Apparently, high-rank skills require skill points to manifest themselves. None of mine needed that, so they aren't high rank. Well, not like I didn't know that already, though. And, like that, they were searching for the holders of puppetry and charm, while raising the level of appraisal. Well, having 50 points and spending 30 points on that makes it a premeditated crime. It seems that one can't see with appraisal skills and the skills that are yet to manifest themselves, or perhaps they lacked the level of appraisal, but the skills didn't show up on anyone's status. There was a possibility of them being concealed, but with the difference in levels, they should have become visible anyway. I surely was the last one, but no such amazing skills remained. Only crap and hell mode skills. And on top of that, all those hell mode skills were pushed onto me without my consent. We were shown the skills almost right away, but it was already after those were taken. Those hell mode skills were amazing. One of those is enough to checkmate you. Yup, it's those guys we're talking about. They surely skipped the god's explanation and immediately went to check the skill, which means that someone had asked for puppetry or charm immediately after arriving in the White Room. They are certainly aiming to either become a ruler or create a harem, or maybe even both. And also, don't say checkmated. Don't say that even one can checkmate you. I've got all of them, and I've even got a new one after that. I'm going to cry. I'm done. What the hell was that? Rococo-style bathtub? A mere bath without a beautiful slave girl? A mere bath. Hurry up and get in. Or even better, go drown yourself. After that, the geeks slept, taking turns and continued with their story upon waking up. I went to sleep. Their talking is way too long.